Aloha, this is Brother Raphael from beautiful Hawaii. I trust you have read Genesis chapter 19. And it is one of the ugliest chapters, if not the ugliest, in the entire Bible. It has three incidents in that chapter which are not seen anywhere else, whether it is through historical accounts or so forth. Nowhere else we see these three items being done consistently or as a tradition or as a custom. We have the first event, which is the men trying to rape the visitors. And we know it's a sexual attack instead of an attack of men trying to humiliate the other men, because the men there in that city had their families, but they wanted to have sex with men. Let me explain that really quick, because people are going to tell you that that was an attempt to humiliate the man. There could have been a small part of that in that attempt, but it was a homosexual act. There's no question about it. I worked in prisons where men do humiliate other men that way. Now we have several laws and so forth that very strongly protect inmates. But in the past, men were able to humiliate men like that. And while it happened in a confined space where the men didn't have their wives with them. So they had, in their own dysfunctional thinking, they had to attack other men. They had to have sexual relations with other men because they didn't have the companionship of their wives. Now, in Sodom, the men had their families. So this attack was not as in a prison. This attack was attracted to men trying to have sex with them. There's no question about it. Don't allow anybody to tell you, well, they're trying to humiliate them. That is a very small part. And we do see that that is a small part because after they go blind, they continue trying to have sex with these men, to try to assault them. The second thing that we see here is that Lot, in order to prevent the harm to the visitors who had come under his home, he offers his daughters. And I can tell you that I did the most research about. Nowhere in that region, in the past, in that time, or even in the future, was that ever, ever a custom or a tradition. That was Lot doing it himself. We see Abraham doing something similar where he tries to say that Sarah is his sister in order to save his life, but it doesn't even compare. We see Lot doing something out of lack of knowledge, out of lack of understanding, out of fear. We don't know. But he could have used some help there in his way of thinking. The third item that we see are Lot's daughters when they go to a cave, getting pregnant by Lot by getting him drunk. And once again, the only time you see incest being supported in that region were only for Pharaoh. Pharaohs usually, in some eras, fellows were encouraged to marry their sisters. That is it. That is it. The same sense we have of this is wrong, they had it back then regarding that. It's not ever right. It's nowhere found except in a tiny part of Egypt's history. Is and it's only for a limited number of people. It's Pharaoh and his sister. That's it. And we get that from some of the writings that we get from Egypt, which means that the assumption we are making when Egypt uses the word sister in those writings, it means that it could have been something else. We we are making an assumption that that's what he meant based on the straight definition of the word. But so when I was doing this research, it was very awkward because I couldn't find anything that would support that as the three items as a tradition or as a cultural norm or as the law of the. Believe me, families would have rather die than to allow their daughters to be raped. Just like now, families would rather die than to have that. Is the daughters were loved just as much as we love them now. That is why the women have so many protections. The marriage certificates, as an example, in those eras, delineate everything that a woman was protected about. And there were some marriage certificates where the wives will say, you will not get a second wife. And women had their families to protect them. So this is a very unusual set of events. When I take a look at why it happened, when I prayed about it, I came out with a couple of items. The first one is that Lot did not have the wisdom to handle that situation. Let me explain what I mean by that. Lot lived with Abraham most of his life because Lot's father, Abraham's brother, had died. And Lot, all of a sudden, became the leader of his own clan when he separated from Abraham. Lot immediately became a clan leader. Lot did not have the time that we normally spend listening in those tribes, listening to our fathers, watching them react, having their wisdom, having their advice, and then when the father is close to dying, they will offer more advice, more wisdom, the things that will help the clan continue a life that is fruitful. In a small example, when I took business classes, when I took the law section of the law classes of my business degree, I was able to understand a lot of it very quickly because I drove my father to cases where he was an attorney. I drove him to situations, to trials, to whatever. And I observed the things he said, the things they did. So I was able to pick the law portion of my degree very quickly because I had that in me already. Lot did not have that opportunity to spend a lot of time with Abraham. So what can we teach our children? We can teach our children that they need a mentor, that they need to observe, that they need to ask questions of this mentor, that they need to spend time with this mentor. And what better mentor than a parent? Fathers, you are the best mentor for your son, and mothers, you are the best mentor for your daughters. As an example, thinking of daughters, mothers, you can share with your daughter in this lesson that you can be accessed anytime for advice and that you give them the best advice you can. Let your daughters know that your mother before you, your grandmother before you yourself have lived through experiences that your daughter are going to go through. And you understand the entire systematic relationship of how everything interacts, and you can give her that wisdom. Fathers, the same thing. You can share with your sons that you understand things that they are going to go through because you yourself went through them. Just imagine if Lot had the opportunity to pick up a cell phone. We know cell phones were not there, but if Lot had the opportunity to pick up a cell phone and call Abraham or Melchizedek, his decisions would have been 10 times better than they were. His decisions would have been very godly decisions instead of decisions that at best were based in fear. The second item we want to share is when Lot left, he went to a small city, Zoar, and then he went to a cave. Why did he not go to Abraham? Maybe because of pride, maybe because he did not know, maybe because he felt guilty. Maybe, we don't know the reason why. I was in the military. I spent 3 years of my youth in the military as a young man. And at the end of our 3 years, you saw it again and again. Some of the fellows, whether men or women, decided not to return home, but stay in whatever area. And you will see them making a wreck of their lives sometimes because they did not have that support that a family provides. They thought that they would feel or that they would be a failure if they return home. They thought that people will mock them if they return home. They thought that they will have to be a man or a woman and be on their own 2 feet. And that is, oh my gosh, that is so far from the truth. But that is the way we think when we don't have a mentor. That is the way we think when we are not told as children. When you find yourself in a situation, you make sure you come home. This is where you belong. This is your greater safety net. We'll help you. We are here for you. Let your children know if this is what you want to do in your home. I'm not trying to tell you how to run your house, please. But if you choose to, let your children know that in any situation, they don't have to run to a cave. They can come home and prepare themselves to be launched again into life. Many successful people have done such a thing. They have come home, stabilized themselves, and returned back into the world. And that is what the beautiful thing of a family is. And the final thing, I save this for last because it is now, in this day and age, January of 2021, Lot is such an important thing. Lot was righteous when he told the men of that city that it was a wicked thing they were doing. Lot was righteous when he said that. And what did they do? They attacked him. They attacked him for speaking God's truth. They're your children. They are in social media. We as Christians, we have to be the ones that call wrong, wrong, and right, right. And the moment you do that, people are going to accuse you of something based on who they are, not based on what you said, but based on who they are. So let your children know that they have to say what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong, even if it is from a group they enjoy, even if it is to a group they enjoy, even if it is from a group they hate, even if it is a group they hate. They have to call right, right, and just, and fair, fair, and wrong, wrong. That is our life as a believer. We are here as ambassadors of Christ. In Christ's love, this is Brother Raphael. May the Lord bless you. Thank you.